At the end of the day, this process is going to be hard, but my plan for 2020 is that by letting go of those things, let's just think about it, basic customer support issues. Up until November of 2019, if someone emailed in or submitted a help desk ticket saying, hey, I can't log into the membership, I was the guy who was doing that troubleshooting.
Welcome to the Online Genius Podcast, where host and renegade thinking beer brewing lawyer turned online entrepreneur Bobby Klink proves that building and protecting your online genius doesn't have to be rocket science. Bobby and his expert guests break down online marketing and the legal stuff so you can stop sweating the small stuff and get back to building your amazing business. Now, here's your host, Bobby Klink.
Hey there, welcome to episode 123 of the Online Genius Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Klink, and I'm really excited for this episode because we're going to be talking about one of my favorite things. We're going to be talking about my annual plan. And my annual plan isn't just my favorite because it's my plan. I love it because I believe that the process of planning is invaluable as an entrepreneur to really kind of take the time to think through what does the next year have in store for you and actually kind of be conscious and intentional about it and not just let things take you where they may. Now, I'm going to start with the caveat that just like last year, I feel quite certain that the plan I have in place for this year isn't going to be the plan that ultimately stays in place through the end of the year. Things will come up. Things will change. I will make a decision here or there that will kind of take us in a different direction. And that's okay. But my belief is that we should all be creating these plans to really kind of give us a North Star of where we're going in the next year. Now, as part of that, I'm going to talk about why this is the last episode of the Online Genius Podcast, but that's going to come towards the end. So stick with me, because I think this is going to be an episode that you're going to find incredibly valuable. Now, what I want to start with is talking about the process of kind of planning. And when I plan, I always like to kind of look back at the year that was, think through what worked, what didn't work, what do I need to improve, what did work, and therefore should I try to keep doing more of, and what should I double down on, and things like that. Those are all the kinds of questions I want to ask myself. From there, I use a planning process that you start with a revenue target, then you create goals that will serve that revenue target, then you kind of chunk down each one of those goals into rocks that will serve those goals, and then you break it down into tasks. And to give you an idea of what this looks like, my internal my company's yearly plan is 20 pages of much of it single-spaced tasks at a very granular level. We did that so that my integrator can take it, can plan it out. We can have, milestones. We know what we're doing. And that's the kind of stuff that I want to be clear. Do I really believe that the tasks that we are setting, and I'm setting out in December of 2019 for tasks that we're saying are going to be done in June of 2020, that's 100% accurate? Of course not, right? I mean, there will be things that get changed along the way. Hopefully, there are going to be things that, we make progress faster than we anticipated, so maybe we move deadlines up. But the point is that in going through this process, it makes it much simpler along the way. Now, with that in mind, I want to talk for a second about kind of where I am in my business from the perspective of kind of what I'm looking for in 2020. I'm at a point in my business where I'm kind of at a tipping point, where I am moving from solopreneur to entrepreneur with a team. And that's always going to be an interesting transition for people. It's always going to be something that is, has to be navigated. But in my case, in some ways, it presents an even bigger challenge, I think. And part of the reason why is that I'm kind of known for my engagement, my work to actually connect with people. And so I am having to navigate this transition from this kind of, I'm the only one. And so, yes, when people are talking to my brand or my business, they were talking to me, to something where I have other people involved, where I have team members who are communicating with customers, et cetera. And so that is one of the big challenges I face for the year. And so we're doing that, and we're working through those issues. And part of my plan, and the big part of what 2020 is going to be about for me, is figuring out the ways to make that work, putting in place the right standard operating and procedures, putting in place the right guided responses to email like customer inquiries, putting all of those things in place so that other people can step into the role that I was otherwise filling and do the things that don't need to be done by me. But at the same time, I'm going to tell you that I'm being very conscious about this, about continuing to be the face of the brand, to being the person who is communicating with customers, et cetera. And so I know that there are going to be some growing pains. I know that things are going to get kind of wonky on us from time to time. I know that I'm going to have to allow myself to be a little bit uncomfortable, to allow my team to do things that in the past I could not have let go of. And that's part of the personal growth that I'm going to have in 2020, is really getting comfortable with that. Now, I started that the last couple of months of 2019. I've got a team in place, and they've been taking over that role more and more. But I'll be honest with you, it's really tough for me to not be in my inbox on a regular basis. And when I see an email come in, it's really tough for me to not just respond, but instead to allow my team the time to step in to do those things. And at the end of the day, this process is going to be hard, but my plan for 2020 is that by letting go of those things, let's just think about it, basic customer support issues. Up until November of 2019, if someone emailed in or submitted a help desk ticket saying, hey, I can't log into the membership, I was the guy who was doing that troubleshooting. And that made no sense. And it took away from the time that I had available to me to do the other things, the things that really only I could be doing in the business. And so my belief, my hope is that by letting go of those kinds of tasks, by having someone who sorts my emails so that I'm not the one looking at the random things to decide whether it's junk or not, I will have more time to actually do more of the things that were working in my business, engaging with people, connecting with people, actually building the connections at a deep level, creating great content, doing all of those things suddenly are really the only things on my list. And so that's the transition point I'm at in my business. And my plan and the things we're thinking about are largely going to be about that. Now, when I'm talking about my yearly plan and kind of what I have in store, I'm not really going to be talking a lot about those because those are, dealing with that growth, that's an internal issue for me. I have to just get comfortable with it. But it's part of what is going to really kind of animate my year. And when you hear about my goals and my plan, you'll kind of see, yeah, he's got to let go of those things. He's got to get comfortable with that if he has any chance of hitting these goals. And so I share that to give some perspective. So with that now, I want to turn to my plan for the year. And if you listened last year, I guess it was when you're hearing this 2 years ago, because it was the end of 2018, I did an episode where I talked about my plan for 2019. And I shared this recently in last week's episode that I did not hit my goal. My goal this year, my revenue goal is the same as it was last year. My revenue goal is $1 million. And again, some could say that's arbitrary, and it is, right? There's not much difference between $995,000 and $1 million other than you get to say you're a seven-figure entrepreneur. And I don't really care about that all that much, but it's a number and I had to pick one. And so I picked it. And I'm closing out the year between my two businesses right around $600,000 to $650,000. So it's going to require a significant growth. And especially considering the fact that a good chunk of my revenue last year, 2019, was from my law firm. And so my goal is for, my online business alone to hit $1 million. So that's going to require some growth. So that's my big revenue number. And when I mapped out how I was going to do this, I have a few different things and, I have a small group coaching program that I will continue through the year that is bringing in a little bit of money, but I didn't even worry about that too much because that's not going to be one of the big drivers for my success. The revenue at the end of the day will come from three places primarily: from my Fans First Society, from my legal template sales, and then from affiliate launches. And that's where I'm working things through, and that's where I anticipate making my money this year. And I'll start with the affiliate work just so that, it's kind of the easiest to talk about, and it is what it is. I'm going to be an affiliate, as always, only for products I believe in and only for a small number of products. I don't want to be doing affiliate launches all the time. As of the moment that I'm recording this, I really only have 2 solid affiliate launches planned. I will be an affiliate for Tribe, which is about creating a membership site by Stu McLaren. I took it. It was the course that helped me launch the Fans First Society. So it's a no-brainer for me to be an affiliate for that program. And then the second program I'll be an affiliate for is Amy Porterfield's Digital Course Academy. I did it in 2019. So again, it's a no-brainer to do it again in 2020. Now, each one of those is a launch model. So each one of those will be, we'll kind of have to set things up in advance. But at the end of the day, it will be about a month of, kind of really focused effort on each one of them, creating content, putting out things on social media, being active during the launch period, et cetera. And then, of course, delivering after that. So those are the 2 affiliate launches I have planned. And my goal is to bring in $150,000 in revenue from those 2 launches. And again, that will be an aggressive goal in a sense. That would require me to up my game quite a bit. But what I'll tell you is last year in 2019, I did 1 affiliate launch and I crushed it compared to, what would have been expected for someone doing their first ever affiliate launch. And so I'm setting an aggressive goal. And as my business is growing on the business side with the Fans First Society, it will become a natural fit for me to promote these 2 other products because in a sense they fill gaps that I don't address, which is how do you create a course or how do you create a membership site? I'm not going to teach people that from scratch, but I know the best people in the world to teach that. And so I'm going to promote it. And as I grow the Fans First Society, obviously the folks who are in that will be kind of, people who would naturally maybe want to take me up on my affiliate offers for the other 2. So that's the affiliate work. And I wanted to address that quickly because it's kind of a standalone thing. But now I want to talk about my goals, my other goals. And my first big goal has to do with my Fans First Society. And my goal is that by the end of this year, I will have 1,000 active paying members inside of the Fans First Society. And what that means is when I first launched the Fans First Society, there were some people who joined as founding members who are grandfathered in forever and don't have to pay anymore. So I'm not counting them because, that's great. I mean, they're already there and it's great. They provide critical mass to the group in its early stages. But my goal is to have recurring revenue coming in from 1,000 members of the Fans First Society. That is a big goal. I know it's a big goal. It is a big, hairy, scary goal. And I don't have to hit that number, candidly, to actually get to my revenue number for the year. But realistically, I also know that it's going to be a ramp-up period, right? It's going to be a slow growth, and then, eventually it will start to really grow. And so that is what I'm shooting for. And I broke that up into multiple kind of projects or rocks that are smaller, kind of chunked down parts and tasks that I have to complete, in my view, to be able to get to that goal. The first one is to launch, drive traffic to, and optimize my segmentation funnels and quiz funnels to get people into the Fans First Society. What I'm going to do, I'm going to have a funnel or a couple of different funnels that are for cold traffic that give people freebies or let people go through a quiz. And then based upon, some information that they provide during the process, it will segment them. The messaging they will get from there will be specific to them, and I'll be able to tell them how, based upon what their particular questions, particular issues are, I'll be able to say whether or not the Fans First Society is a good fit, and if so, how it will help them and what in it is going to really help them based upon, their particular needs. And so this will be part of giving people a freebie, as, I have a ton of value that people are already getting, and I'll continue to give them that value for free. But then I'm going to gather data during the process with segmentation funnels and quiz funnels to then segment people into offering them the chance to join the Fans First Society. So that's the first piece of this. And I'm going through this process using the Ask method by Ryan Levesque. And as I'm recording this, I have the first kind of the background research piece done. I have to build out the pieces for the actual segmentation funnel now. And at the end of January, I'm going to be going to a quiz boot camp, and I'm going to build a quiz. And still working on what that's going to look like. I don't know as I'm recording this, but I know that having a good quiz, but separately, even for people who simply sign up for a freebie, having a good segmentation funnel before it so that I have more information about the folks is going to help me considerably in the process of kind of, funneling people into the right place so that I can serve them in the best way possible. So that's the first big rock I've got. And again, you'll notice I said launch, drive traffic to, and optimize. So realistically, my team and I are going to be working on this all year long. The first quarter is going to be about launching and starting to drive traffic. Then we're going to spend the second, third, and fourth quarter really trying to optimize these things, and maybe, depending on how things are working out, maybe try alternative funnels, try different things on the back end to see what works best to help serve people the best. So that's the first rock of my first goal. Now, then within my big goal there of having 1,000 members in the Fans First Society, my second rock is to optimize my workshops and my workshop funnels. In my plan, it's written out as optimize, recapture, and retargeting funnels. But essentially what this means is really kind of hone in and perfect my funnels to my monthly paid workshops, because my monthly paid workshops are how I am retargeting my existing audience to again invite them into the Fans First Society. So each month I have my paid workshops and I invite people to come and give the Fans First Society a try. And if they do, they get access to the workshop, and they'll get access to all the prior workshops, and then they get all the other goodness in the Fans First Society. So it's kind of a way to bring people back in so that if maybe they signed up for the freebie but didn't join the Fans First Society at the time, or go through the quiz and don't join the Fans First Society and want to get to know me more, that's fine. But then I'm going to have this back end way to do it. And so we're going to be working to really optimize those. We're doing these workshops every single month, and we will be working to improve and optimize the process to really kind of, make them work the best way possible. Then the final piece of getting 1,000 members inside the Fans First Society is I have it written out as collect 50 testimonials and case studies. And if you actually go into the tasks that I have for this, this one is all about over delivering. So there are tasks related to providing incredible value inside the Fans First Society. And then from there, being systematic about getting people to provide a testimonial, to give case studies, etc., because those will help in the sales process, obviously. And so that's kind of the last piece. I believe that if I can collect 50 testimonials, if I'm working to really kind of hone the cold audience targeting on the segmentation and quiz funnels, and then optimizing my workshop funnels, we should be able to get to that 1,000 member mark by the end of the year. So that's my first big goal. That's where most or a lot of my energy will be going. So that's kind of my big thing. When I'm looking forward at where is my attention, most of my attention this year, it's on that goal. Now, the next goal is for the kind of, I don't want to call it the old and boring, but kind of like the old and boring side of my business, the legal templates. My goal is that by the end of the year, I will be bringing in $50,000 a month in revenue from template sales. And this is going to require some growth. I mean, it's going to require more than doubling what my kind of ongoing run rate has been for templates. But here's the beauty of it. This is something that we already have a lot in place to kind of build on. It's just a matter of building and perfecting it. And so again, that's the goal, is to kind of increase it over time so that by the end of the year, we're, basically in December of this year, I want to hit $50,000 a month in template sales. And I should be clear, I don't want to do it through a launch. I don't want to do it through doing some kind of limited time launch where things, it's let's say 50,000 in December, but it was only 20,000 in November. That would not be hitting my goal because I want to see it, that's the ongoing run rate. And so again, I broke this down into smaller kind of projects or tasks. And one of them is that I am reworking the way people come into the funnel. Now I'm going to keep my existing freebie for now and just, that'll keep going, but I'm going to try an alternate funnel that is, again, a segmentation process where people will still get my free privacy policy, but they'll also get some other information. And in the process, they'll provide me some information. And so I can then, based upon them telling me, for example, are they a course creator, or do they have a membership site, or are they a service provider, or whatever it is that is their specialty, based on that and some other information they provide, I will be able to provide more tailored prescriptions of here's what you need to do specifically to protect your business. And providing that really tailored prescription is always going to be beneficial because I can speak to them way more directly and way more really kind of right in, with what they need. So that's the first part of doing this, is we're creating that segmentation funnel, again, using the ask method, which I believe is going to be a great way to really kind of tailor what I'm saying to people on my list going forward. Now, the other piece, however, that we need to think through, and that my team, candidly, we're still working on this, is we want to create systematic ways to sell to our existing customers. And there's a couple of pieces here. Number one, as we grow the Fans First Society, there is no doubt that people who are in the Fans First Society will most likely need some of my legal templates. So we need to create obvious ways that the two sides of the business are connected so that, people who are, coming to me and maybe came to me for the business stuff initially, they didn't even know me as the legal guy initially, then are introduced to that side of the business and would potentially purchase from me to help them protect their business legally as well. So that's part of it. Another part of it, however, is to make sure that people are aware. Let's say they buy an individual template and say, well, I love that you bought that. Would you also be interested in, upgrading to this pack, which for, let's say, twice the price has 4 times the templates? And so we need to create systematic ways to do that. The obvious example of this is if someone buys my course terms of use or course, basically an online course agreement, if you're a course creator, when they purchase that, that's great. But they're also told, hey, if you'd like, I also have a Course Creators Pack, which has that, but also these other templates, and it's a real steal of a deal versus buying them individually. So that's an example of just making it available to people. And if you're here listening to this, I'm not going to put a hard sell on anyone. I simply want to tell them, hey, this is available if it is something that would be helpful to you and if you have a need. So that's another piece that we need to work on as well, just being very systematic about it. And this is where having my team is helping, because my team can help me kind of think these things through and actually get it done versus me saying, oh yeah, I need to do that, but nothing happens. So this is where kind of me building my team and becoming a CEO in my business is a big part of what I need to accomplish this year. Now, then the last piece that I have under this goal to get to $50,000 a month in template sales is that I want to establish 12 strategic affiliate relationships by the end of the year. Now, I allow anyone basically who has bought my templates, who loves them, all my customers, et cetera, if they want to be an affiliate, that's great. And I welcome affiliates. I'm happy to do it because I just want people to get word about the legal templates and get themselves protected. And so I have a good number of affiliates already, but we are putting a real stress on finding very strategic opportunities to connect with thought leaders who would be interested in being affiliates and would be interested in promoting my legal templates. Now, because I don't do launches anymore for my legal templates, it's not a launch model, but we want to build the relationships, and we're working on ways to kind of, really put some more power into our affiliate program. So number one, just every affiliate who's involved will have all the resources they need, but also to find ways that maybe we can, provide added value or added kind of support for people on, a strategic basis for limited periods of time if they want to do a promotion. And so we are developing that because the reality is that getting people interested in the legal stuff is hard. That's why I haven't talked a lot about legal stuff and my content, et cetera, because it's not something that most people want to be talking about or listening to. But if they are already listening to someone who's helping them build their business in another way or build a certain product, they are clearly primed to listen to that person and say, well, you should also protect it, and Bobby can help you do that. So that's a big part of reaching that goal as well, is kind of building those relationships so that we have affiliates who are consistently sending traffic our way. And I've got to give a shout out to my existing affiliates because they have done unbelievable work. There's a few affiliates who I know have put blog posts up and just continue to make sales on a regular basis of my products. And I am grateful to every one of my affiliates. And so, we are going to really stress kind of improving the affiliate experience for everyone and building those strategic relationships this year as well. So that's kind of goal 2 of that piece. Now, goal number 3 is a bit different because it's not a revenue goal, but it's a goal that will, in my view, serve my other 2 revenue or kind of numbers-based goals. And that is that I want to appear on 48 podcasts or guest trainings or stages by the end of the year. So that is a very doable goal, but it's a big goal, right? That's 4 different appearances each month, and that's a lot. But one thing I know is that appearing as a guest, whether it's on a podcast, in someone's membership or Facebook group, or on their stage, that is one of the best ways to expand my reach and to really kind of get new people into my world. And so I am making a huge push to do this. And here's kind of here's a place where me having my team in place is a must. I could not do this without my team, because I will not use an outside podcast pitching company, because candidly, as someone who has his own podcast and gets pitched quite a bit, I can tell you I have not had a good experience with outside pitching companies because they're often driven by numbers. And so they are often pitching people to a large number of podcasts all at once without a lot of thought behind it. And it's not the way to do it. But more importantly, my view is if I'm going to be on someone's podcast, I want to actually build a relationship with that person. Because to me, being on someone's podcast is great. But the reality is that the real power of being a guest on podcasts or as a guest in someone's training program or as a guest or a speaker on their stage is the bigger, more kind of longer lasting relationship where each side can help the other. I can tell you that I get more people coming into my world from, much smaller communities where I have a closer relationship with the host. And so I want to focus on that. And that means that my team and I really have to be intentional about it, but I am going to be involved in the process. That means I'm going to be doing the connecting. I'm going to be doing the engaging. I'm going to be doing the pre-work to really get the connections built before we ask or pitch me to a podcast. So you can kind of see how it just wouldn't really be possible for me to be doing this by myself. I couldn't do it. There's no way I could get it done. And so that's why I know that this is something where having my team in place is a must. And so I'm excited about it. So we're going to work on this, which is, we're kind of starting from scratch in a lot of ways. We're not starting from scratch because I've appeared a lot of different places. I have a lot of, connections and peers who I can reach out to, but we don't have systems in place. So we are creating the systems. We're creating, ways to kind of identify, engage, pitch, track, promote, do all of those different things. And then once the systems are in place, we literally have to just go out and really kind of identify what are the places where I want to, try to pitch myself. And we got to work on that. And then once we identify the opportunities, it's a matter of connecting with, engaging with, and pitching the different people on an ongoing basis so that I can hit those numbers. And so those are kind of the parts here of this last goal, which is, set up the systems, identify where I would like to appear, and then start connecting and engaging with the folks and then ultimately pitching myself. So those are the big goals. Now, obviously, I have ongoing things and, just kind of ongoing content and emails and all of those things happening. But that brings me kind of to the last piece, which I mentioned this at the beginning, that this is the last episode of the Online Genius podcast. It's not the last episode of the podcast. It's the last episode of the Online Genius podcast. We are rebranding this podcast as of Friday's episode. As of Friday's episode, I don't know if the artwork will get updated. I don't know if that'll happen. But if all of a sudden you don't see the Online Genius podcast, what you'll see, hopefully, is the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast. It's tongue-in-cheek because I'm anything but badass. But realistically, I use that word quite a bit, and I joke about it. And my view is that being a badass in the online marketing world isn't about being cool, which is what most people would think. It's about doing the basic stuff right and really showing up. So we are rebranding as of the next podcast episode, and we're going to be talking about the same stuff. So nothing's changing there. So don't think anything's different. We'll still have our Foundations Fridays and our standard Tuesday episodes, and Friday's episode happens to be perfect. It's just one of those things where if you listen to my episode with Emily Aarons earlier this year, where she talked about how it was just kind of crazy that I was in this state of flow, it has continued. My team and I, we're looking over dates and picking the date for our rebrand of the podcast. And we picked a date without even looking at what was scheduled for the content. And it just happens to be perfect. So you'll definitely want to tune in for that. But the other thing that we're doing as part of this is it's not just the podcast. We are creating a program, and we're still working on the details, but we're creating a Certified Badass Online Marketer program. In other words, it's a certification program that's going to have some fun. It's going to make things within my Fans First Society fun and gamified. It's going to give people ways to, just kind of have fun in the process, because one of my core beliefs is that business ought to be fun. And, if we can make it fun and we can give out some free swag to people, and, we can give people like t-shirts that'll be fun and maybe some sunglasses and some other things like that, why not? So that is happening. It is the last piece of the rebrand. I rebranded just to BobbyClink.com in October of 2019, and the podcast is the last piece. And so this is the last episode. This is the last time you'll hear that intro and this outro that you're going to hear after I'm done today. And it's the last time that you will hear me say that it's the Online Genius Podcast. Now I'm going to keep my numbers, so next episode will still be episode 124, but it's really the first episode of the Certified Badass Online Marketer or Marketing Podcast. So I look forward to seeing you there. I look forward to helping you build the badass business of your dreams and really kind of, live the life that you want to be living, because that's ultimately what this is about. And so that's what I've got planned for 2020. And like I said, some of it is still a work in progress, but I would encourage you, if you haven't gone through the process of doing this planning yourself, you really should. Plan out, what is your revenue target for the year? What are 3 goals, kind of big goals that you need to hit that feed into that revenue? And then what are the rocks that you have to hit within each one of those goals? What are kind of the milestones, if you will, to reach those goals? And then break it down to a task level. If you'll do that, you can have a plan for the year and you can focus and really just get to work instead of having to think through, well, what do I do now? Well, what's next? Those are the things that if we're constantly through the year saying, well, what should I do next? What should I do next? That's where a lot of times we waste a lot of time and a lot of energy. So I would encourage you to create the plan for the year. My plan, we put a lot of work into it and we're looking forward to it. And we're looking forward to building our business and my business this year. And, I can't wait to see what happens in my business, but I also can't wait to see what happens in your business. That's it for this episode, the last episode of the Online Genius Podcast. I'll see you on Friday for the first episode of the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast. Talk to you later.
Thanks for listening to the Online Genius Podcast. Make sure to tune in next week for more great tips, tricks, and strategies to help you build and protect your online genius.